Welcome back to the Talos of Tech podcast, everybody. And if you are watching this, I am wearing something. Let me just address it right off the bat. I have retrieved my luggage, so I am wearing my old shirt, my green, like this is like a sage green shirt. I got my olive green Tommy Hilfiger jacket on because it's been raining today. I am in a great mood because my life has been returned back to me. It has never been more exciting. How are you doing, Mike?
Probably not as jolly as you with all your clothes finally returning after like what 2 weeks or something like that. They took the Elon approach
Yeah,
of taking that long to come back, but
yeah.
because Elon Musk's always he's quoted for 2 weeks. But anyways, I'm all right. I'm good. I'm a little bit perplexed also if for those who are watching the video that you kind of alluded to, or I guess video portion of this podcast, you are not sporting the regular headphones that you usually wear on your head like I usually do as well.
Audio listeners, I am wearing my AirPods Pro. I don't know if I ever said this when we were recording, but it was never my intention to always have over ears when I upgraded to the pros, and I ended up keeping the second gen pros. It was my intention to use them strictly for the podcasting, but for whatever reason, I could not get them to work with Discord. And today I had a little bit of downtime right before we started recording. We are recording on a Wednesday, by the way. So something exciting, Apple related, which I doubt happens between now and Saturday. This is why we're not covering it. But um, I
Watch them announce
I
Project
spent.
Titan and all that.
Oh man, I would be upset. We would have to do a breaking, like all things. We would have to stop what we're doing, and but anyway, um, yeah, I had some downtime to troubleshoot my AirPods in a way that wasn't keeping you and Drew waiting, and I well basically I uninstalled Discord, reinstalled it, and it didn't fix anything, and that's when I knew the issue wasn't within Discord. So then I went to the system settings, and long story short, all I ever needed to do, it's like a bug or something. I just ticked the volume up and down on the AirPod, and next thing you know, all the audio was coming through, and I can hear just fine. So I was like, oh, perfect, because it was very frustrating. My goal in Drew's absence is, if you haven't noticed, I'm trying to become more like Drew, where I'm using AirPods. I'm recording off the MacBook mic. I am doing everything as wirelessly as possible. That's my goal for everything going forward. That is no longer Logic Pro, audio production. I will try to live a wireless lifestyle as best as I can. So that includes the continuity camera with the mount, that includes this, and I have a great mic that uh, seems to work last week. So you and I troubleshooting my mic got it to work, which, by the way, I just want to say thank you, Mike, for editing last week's episode. I know we were a day late, but um, to me, it was worth it because one, I like the edits that you did. Like when the whole game show thing for this show, you're, like I caught that. Yeah, yeah. And we got good feedback on that show. They liked that episode. So what I wanted to kind of do from the offset here is now challenge the opposition, and I want to do a part two to the show, to the game we were playing, and now I'm going to be for and you're going to be against,
Oh dear
so that
lord.
way we are fair about playing devil's advocate here on both sides. I like, I had an opportunity, I think yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago, to listen to our debate. Well, that wasn't a debate, but our cases, and I liked hearing, your headspace and my headspace, and I wanted to give it a fair shakedown, and now we have to challenge our own bias on it. So with that, I kind of want to let you, since I started off last time with against, I want you to start off AirPods Pro against, and let's hear your case. We'll do a very similar back to back here, conversation. It's gonna be a
Hmm.
conversational piece, but um now we're taking new stances. So hit me,
Against
Mike.
AirPods Pro or against Vision Pro?
Vision Pro.
Okay. You said AirPods.
Yeah.
For
Oh, my bad. Did I
or
say?
maybe I was thinking about some. I was gonna say I could try and make a case against AirPods Pro. They're too expensive.
No, we're going back to the Vision Pro.
Yeah, going back to the
The
Vision
Vision
Pro,
Pro.
I'd say a case against it that I'm just trying to think of off the top of my head is first gen products are buggy. There's a lot to go wrong with them, and specifically with Vision Pro. This thing, it may not have the best AR capabilities with placing things where you want them to. I found with I guess even was it the lidar sensor with the iPhone 14 or the iPhone 11, even if I tried putting like that product on the Apple Store page in AR on my desk and all that, it had a hard time. And I know that's just like one sensor maybe working with cameras and all that to try to put a digital object into reality per se, but like through the screen and all that. But it'll be interesting to see if they can do that better with a I guess a AR focused platform like Vision Pro. Uh, because at least in
I
my
think the headset
experience,
only has but the one lidar sensor, though, right? I believe that's correct.
I'd have to look again, but I think so. And so
Right there in the center.
yeah, so that's maybe my concern is being able to like have that fluidity or that stability of like I put the screen on this wall right here. It's going to stay exactly right there all the time versus like if I get up, stand over on like this corner of the room and then look and it's like, "Oh, it actually shifted like a couple feet over." And that kind of just breaks the immersion for me, right? So something like that I doubt that they're gonna nail it immediately, especially as a Gen 1 product. I think it's gonna take a lot of time for software engineers and programmers to try to figure out spatial computing in that manner. But I don't know. Do you have a retort for that, Randy, in regards to my
Let me re I'm gonna kind of re-say what you just said just to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying here.
mhm.
Um, the implication is having to do with cost for it being a Gen 1 product and you're paying $3,500. You don't think it's going to be, or your experience so far with LiDAR and what you've got to do with it on other devices, the sensors and the camera for being a Gen 1 expensive product might not be where it needs to be as a Gen 1, but you're paying still that premium price. Is that a fair summary of what you were just alluding to?
Kinda, yeah. I think that encapsulates it well. Is that
Okay.
it's a premium device, but if it can't model like a screen in augmented reality onto a realistic object and like have it stay there and not wiggle around all over the place or grow and shrink in size in a way like basically making sure wherever you're standing spatially in the room it scales to the size that it should be when you first instigated that window wherever you were is important because that helps immerse or keep that immersion rather than breaking it by making it the same size still, but now it's offset and much bigger than it was when you were standing somewhere else. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the point of spatial computing per se, right? Is that things are there but not there, but you're able to rely that it's constant and it's there rather than
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit indeterminate on what it's basically what form it's going to be if you turn your back and look again. Uh, Yeah, that'll probably break my immersion if they don't nail that, which I don't see them nailing it immediately. But yeah,
Yeah.
do you have faith at least in the software engineers in regards
I
to
have
Vision Pro?
I have I don't know if faith would be the word, but I would say that if the sensors inside the headset are tracking your eyes and
Hmm.
it's quote unquote magical, to quote Marquez, it's like magic. I feel your interaction with spatial computing lies within the eyes more than LiDAR because they even said I hope I'm saying this right and I don't know if I'm getting this from YouTubers now or the keynote, but I think I remember hearing I do remember hearing this. I just don't know. I don't remember the source. That when your eyes are focused on the thing that it's looking at, say a window for web browsing, all the other applications that you would have up, um, like fall out of focus. Not in a sense that just like maybe blurs or their opacity starts to, die down, but maybe more like it could be the refresh rate, it could be the reliability of pinpoint eyeball accuracy
I
with your
believe
eyes
what
and your
you're talking about is
finger.
foveated rendering, where basically you're able to optimize the performance by only making what the user is looking at high quality, while everything else you basically de-res.
Yes. So that lies within itself. I think that the LiDAR sensor and all other sensors really inside the headset, I think will be optimized for whatever your eyes are doing, not overall immersion. The truth is, I don't know. None of us know what what the accuracy of lidar will bring. Besides, they say put your finger out and a butterfly lands on your finger.
Hmm.
People like you can almost feel the butterfly because you can anticipate it. There's lack of tactile feedback, obviously, but something as dainty as a butterfly lands on your finger and you're looking at it, you're like, whoa, you can almost fit like that does something to the brain. Because what the eye see and the ears hear, the mind believes.
Hmm.
So I think with LiDAR, I don't know if there's going to be an issue. I guess ultimately, I'm not sure there'll be an issue with that. But even if it is, I've seen I've seen updates, software updates on the 12 Pro, 13 Pro, and 14 Pro that effectively overall like helped optimize lidar, like when if you're doing nighttime photography, and it helps with like tracking distance. I remember seeing that optimized the most on the 14 Pro, and I only know that there's updates now because I still use the 13 Pro Max, and um like blurring out outline to have a more accurate depth perception if I'm using cinematic mode or portrait mode or night mode. Any one of these modes has improved. So that in that sense, maybe I would have faith with lidar. But since now I'm taking the stance for the headset, let me take a last week I talked about how I'm not convinced that this is a killer of any product line,
Hmm.
and that it's going to be a very small niche for people. But now I'm going to use my own words against me and say that's not necessarily a bad thing. Because if we look at each product category that we have in the MacBooks, you have MacBook Pros and you have MacBook Airs, and that's it as of official lines of MacBooks that aren't considered obsolete. You have iPads, iPad Airs, iPad Pros, you have iPhones, iPhone Pluses, iPhone Minis, iPhone Pro Max. We have we have these subcategories, these suffix attached to a product line, and I would say that each one of those, most of the other categories, are also niche and small market. Like the best selling iPhone is the iPhone, not the iPhone Pros. iPhone, regular baseline iPhones are the best selling one, whether it's affordability or just the best compromise for what it is, or it's the upgrade that comes with their carrier plan.
Hmm.
It's the fanatics that lust for the Pro Maxes and the best this and the best that.
Right.
Um, but that's not the actual demographic of it. MacBook Air has been the best selling MacBook, not the MacBook Pros. The MacBook Pros have been getting a lot of the love, but at the end of the day, we are talking about pricing here. And same thing with the iPads. Regular iPads or iPad minis will always outshine pros if they were to still continue revealing those numbers. Now we don't have any hard data anymore because Apple stopped reporting the numbers. But when they were reporting the numbers on each category of the product line, the the mainstream phone, I guess the one without a suffix attached to it, are the ones that have always done well. I don't know about AirPods now with all the lines, but I would assume AirPods third gen are doing just fine. Because most people, Apple's audience, do are focused on the price, fair enough, and we are the fanatics that will go a little bit more above and beyond and get the pros or get the maxes or get the ultras or get the whatever. But the best selling iPhone, I mean, sorry, the best selling Apple Watch was the, if I was to use terminology from the first generation Apple Watch Series Zero, the best selling Apple Watch was the Apple Watch Sports Edition, which has just been now named Apple Watch, not Apple Watch Stainless Steel or uh, Ultra or Edition, or it was always just the Apple Watch, and they dropped the Sports Edition and just called it Apple Watch because that
Mhm.
was by far the best selling, same software experience, cheaper price tag. I think that's why we push for iPad minis and stuff like that too, because it's like you're gonna get the same software ultimately all the same. So um, with all that being said, the headset, this Vision Pro, will be exactly the same. In the stance where I made about it took many generations for Apple Watch to find its identity. In the process of Vision Pro finding its identity, i- it's still going to be a niche product. And especially when we're talking about Vision Pro, the headset, Vision OS, Vision OS, that's where the magic lies, man. That's where this spatial computing, though not a game changer, and maybe I don't know if I'm too old for it to be the target demographic, but knowing that like my son is going to be exposed to this line of computing in some way, shape, or form, it will be second nature to him the way Gen Zs grew up with touch interfaces, whether it's iPad or iPhone. Like Gen Z can't really understand. They know I'm not gonna say they're dumb about it, but Gen Z can't really comprehend about cartridges going into a Game Boy and you don't touch the screen of the Game Boy. You have your little analog, AB button with a, D-pad to move through, where that had then been replaced with future iterations of everything be turned to touch, because touch is the more superior, precise, navigation tool. But that's them. Because you know how many times, Mike, we get told, like on Discord or Twitter, people who defend iPad, um, when I was like, I just don't get it, and they're like, oh no, it works great for school, for playing, for this, because that's what they grew up on. I'm too old for iPad. I mean, I still use it. It won't replace my core functions.
Mhm.
Vision Pro is, excuse me, not Vision Pro. Vision OS is literally limitless because of the potential indefinite screen real estate that you now have, which are your eyes. Wherever you look around, now you have more screen real estate, and you can. And if the headset is tracking your eyes, and you're just looking at a different part of your room, all of a sudden you can have whatever anything up, something as basic as YouTube or Hulu, Netflix, whatever, and you're just passively consuming content, to as intricate as I'm thinking. Well, my first one was going to go into gaming, but Apple hasn't talked about gaming yet, so I'm not going to say gaming. But as something as intricate as 3D modeling, Final Cut, something that's definitely the antithesis of passive. So
Mhm.
it's something that you have to engage with is truly for the first time three-dimensional. I can see like heart surgeons running a test, doing like students using this in specific fields that require that type of precision. If the eyesight tracking, like the amount of potential in the software is crazy. I just hope it doesn't go the way of the iPad OS at the end of it, because I could have sat here 3 years ago and pitched you all the best of the best for what iPad OS is to become, and to this day we still don't have a calculator. But anyway,
Right.
so
Yeah, it's all up to that team, and if they have enough members in that team to handle what spatial computing needs that the software needs to meet, right? I Another thing that I thought of also is I don't know if you've ever done this before, Randy, but like you see a funny video on your TV or you're on your computer screen or some weird glitch or whatever happens, and you go to take your phone to capture it, right? Because let's just say your TV doesn't have a way to capture things. Most TVs don't, unless you have a DVR of some sort. But basically, you go to capture it with your phone, you start seeing lines, you start seeing waves from just the distortion of what your camera's picking up from the screen, right? 'Cause it's seeing different things than what your eye can
I
see.
see it with fluorescent light bulbs.
Right. How is that going to deal, or how is Vision Pro, or I guess Vision OS, going to deal with that? Even though it's got like, what is it, one, two, three, four, five, it's got like six regular cameras from what I can tell from
Mm,
the images that they showed us, and then it's got two true depth cameras that are flanking, or yeah, flanking the lidar scanner and all that. How is that going to give you a clean image when you're watching something on the TV with your spouse, but you want to have some more interactivity, whether it's closed captioning or scores or something else while you're watching? Like, don't
mhm,
you think that you'd also get the same issues with looking at a TV screen with Vision Pro
mm.
on?
Okay, from the stance of I'm for it now. I gotta defend Vision Pro here. I would say the same way AirPods Pro accurately in live time corrects noise in ANC to in I will hear and it just gets like pushed down. Like the frequency pushes it down without distorting any of the actual information that my ears are picking up through podcasts, books, YouTube, music, whatever, Um, and it does it with a millisecond. It just does that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing before AirPods that came close to that. Bose was good at just deafening everything, right? Like all of it. It was the industry standard. And then Apple's like, watch this. We'll stop the jackhammer from going off, but you can still have that conversation with that other person on the other line, and they can hear you just fine without the jackhammer, and you can hear them just fine without the jackhammer going off. In live time, it's processing all that and sending all that information into your ears, and then it's relaying it to the recipient that you were talking to. Recipients, I mean, that's all happening, and it in the sense of it, if Vision Pro is basically magical, we have taken, as always, and as an audiophile defend this, we have taken audio for granted. With this thing, the size of a quarter. I just put my finger right now on it, and because I have transparency turned on, so I can, calibrate the volume of my throat, when I'm talking to you. Um, and in lifetime, I heard it make adjustments because I got closer to it, and the frequencies, it just happened, and that's magical, and people will take it for granted because listening is always a passive experience unless you're in the music or what you do audio engineering. Whereas Vision Pro or Vision OS, whatever, all that is it's all active. Your eyes have to be attentive because you're either looking or you're sleeping, and even when you're sleeping, you're still looking in your dreams, right? So like that's gonna be a very like in your face experience when it happens. I feel the fluorescent light bulb being distortion. You can see things move. I think the frame rates will sort itself out. I think the playback will sort itself out, and it will adjust as needed, the exact same way audio adjusts as needed in that live time, because people way smarter than us have spent years working on this stuff the same way they spent years working on the headphones. I don't doubt their technical capabilities of what they can do. What I doubt No, can't do that. I'm defending. I'm defending. I'm for it today. I doubt nothing, Mike. It's
Okay.
a perfect product.
I'll say I'm pretty
But
pessimistic about it though, because optical versus uh
Audible,
audible, thank you, are very two different worlds, right? You
sure.
got sound waves versus I guess just the color spectrum that you can see and what you don't see as well, and what the sensors have to rectify for your eyes as well. And there's going to be a lot of noise that's going to have to try to figure out, and it might correct wrong per se. It might not get
Yeah.
all the way there, so you might still have distortion, or you might have some weird lines that you're seeing, or something else. I think that's going to be a problem that is going to be the bane of uh, the software engineers, I guess, whole
Ooh.
entire livelihood with this project for the next, I don't know, next couple iterations of them trying to dial in how to look at a TV screen and account for all different TV screens and still maintain that HD picture that it's trying to give you, because there's still going to be some losses between you looking through, yeah, like, was it 23 million pixels, but then looking at a TV that's got so many pixels or whatever, and then also adjusting for the lighting and everything else. But uh, would be neat though. I guess one thing I will kind of deviate from, it would be neat, kind of like how the ANC stuff works, where like it basically isolates voices. It'd be neat to isolate just the screen, right? I don't know why you would, but like basically black out everything but the screen. Or I guess they already do that, right? They already showed a demo of
I was
you
about to say, I think they do
sitting,
that,
right?
Mike.
And then they isolated someone
Yeah.
coming into the picture, into your
Yeah.
space, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So
I
I
have
I
a
remain
solution I
pessimistic.
just came up with. All right. Let me try it one more with you on this note. You have an Apple TV, right?
Yep.
Have you done the calibration where you put your phone up to the screen and it shoots the lights and all that and it
Hmm.
calibrates in live time to give you a picture perfect image based off of color grading and all that jazz? Have you
Sure.
done that?
Hmm.
Has it worked?
Sometimes, not always.
Sometimes.
Hmm.
Sometimes, I mean,
I've had to
you do it
calibrate a
once
couple
and it's
times.
done.
It didn't
Have
calibrate
you?
right.
Sounds like you need to get the latest model Apple TV because I did it once and it was so, and that fixed it with just the iPhone 13 uh sensors with the Face ID because it's using all that information and it's doing what it's got to do, and it did that. It adjusted what it needs to adjust in live time. How? Magic. I don't know, but it did it, and that was something as rudimentary and barbaric, archaic even as an iPhone 13 mini. Now imagine taking that on a $3,500 device, and it's just in
Plus,
lifetime.
it's straight to it. Yeah, maybe would be interesting. That would be cool. But then, like having to do that for every single TV in your house, and then either to have it remember or try to, because it has to delineate. Like, you're not always. Most people probably have at least more than one TV in their house, right?
Do
So
they?
I would think they'd have at least more than one.
Brother, we're not in the early 2000s anymore. That's not a sign of like wealth anymore. People don't do that. They got their phone pockets and everything's watched on their
Well,
phones. I got
then
like
there
the
you
one
go.
TV.
Do I have to calibrate it for my phone? Do I have to calibrate it for my iPad? Do I have to calibrate it for my Mac? Right? Because you're gonna
I
get
think it's
all
pretty
the
awesome
distortion
that
as well.
iPhones have the same refresh rate with promotion and or not promotion. I feel like they're all the same refresh rate shooting out. I feel like it's a simple calibration there. Um,
You're still having to
and
look
if
through
not,
23 million pixels to look at whatever that device has. And there's going to be some losses in between, because there's a difference between looking at with your own optical eyes sensors, your fleshy
with
sensors,
my own eyes.
versus the I don't know, the six
Fleshy
different
sensors.
yeah, versus whatever else that you're looking through on the headset, and how it's trying to perceive it with the lighting conditions that you're in and the angle that you're holding the phone or looking at the iPad or the Mac or anything else.
If our biggest issue is looking at or the screens through the headset. If that's the biggest complaint for a Gen 1 product, I think we're gonna be just fine. I mean, we
Mm,
can drill down how many iterations of iPhone and still find discrepancies too, and be like, well, we can always improve this, improve that. I think the only demo they showcased with looking at another screen through the headset was your own the presenter's MacBook, and then it just whoop, picked it right back up and made the screen go dark.
sure.
I would not be surprised if it makes all screens go dark while wearing the headset, and it just regurgitates that information above
It would have
and gives
to
you that
have some
information.
handshake per se, with basically what all Apple devices do is they do that nice little
Yeah.
handshake with continuity, so that way you can use your iPad as a secondary screen with your Mac and all that. But
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
all those devices have that per se. I can think of many people who probably have like their own PC or something
Sure.
else that might not be able to
I
make
got
that
a third
connection.
party monitor I'm using from LG. I mean,
Hmm.
not everything is Apple coherent, but maybe it just knows to turn it off. The same way, get this. If you didn't know this, I don't fault you for this. I had a friend show me. Did you know you can't screenshot or screen record your own personal information if you had one of those Apple digital uh IDs in the wallet, one of your own actual state IDs, whether it's a state ID or a driver's license, you can import all that information from the DMV or the DOT, whichever agency that state uses, but you can't share that information. You screenshot a screen, it will just be blanked out. It's all blanked out. I had a buddy who lives in Colorado show me that, and I was like, "Hey, what does it look like?" It's like, "Oh, dude, it's actually really cool. I got to show you something when I do that." And he was like narrating as he's screen recording, and he sent it to me, and I was like, "I don't see anything. I just it's just lines with like name blank." And he's like, "Wait, what?" And he takes a screenshot and he goes, "Whoa, this is weird." And so he had to FaceTime me, pull on a different, like on his Mac or iPad or something, and then go like that. And even then, like you could, like it's obviously not the best fidelity for me to be like, let's see, driver's license number is date of birth. Like there's you had to go actively push against it to break it, and it just it just knew to do that in live time with recording. I would not be surprised if something similar to whatever security that Apple takes seriously with your maybe PII or whatever, like all monitors are just meant to be in live time. It will black it out or white it out or whatever for the security of anybody else. They can't see what you're doing. You can't see what they're doing unless boop, boop, boop. You get the airdrop notification. So and so wants to share their screen with you, and just like you do a share screen on FaceTime, and there has to be some type of authentication. I agree with you on the handshake part. There has to be, just out of security purposes and stuff like that. And we kind of have protocols in place right now that do that with our own screens. And first one I think of was immediately, sharing a screen with a FaceTime call. So I think we'll figure it out. And this is for a Gen 1 product, it is pulling all of these different references and resources from all its other product lines to help amplify this one.
Hmm.
LiDAR being the biggest one, obviously, we know that was brought to iPad and iPhone. The sound systems that we had with AirPods is now you get automatic spatial audio with the headband.
Yeah, how reliable is that, or I guess how high quality is that when it's up on your temples versus down at your ears? Yes, it can
Well,
sound blast in a certain direction, but is that going to be as high quality as what I've got on right now? These
look to your
Sony's.
left and right. Let me see your headphones real quick. Okay, so they're not pass through. Okay.
Nope.
I suspect that there's a different brand. I'll pull my over ears out. There's a different version with this brand, my Sennheisers, that I'm sorry, they're not Sennheisers. They are yes. Anyway, uh but they're not Sennheisers. So this one cups the audio because I don't want, pass through. I don't want leakage to happen if I was recording music, for example. But there is one where they have basically like vents and they come through, and that gives you a more immersive sound.
Mhm.
Our uh, our ears are quite powerful in what they do for being these tiny little vibrations that go into them. Um, I'm not too worried about how that would work, and I think even more so, Apple won't say this out loud, but I think they want you to pair it with your AirPods and all that anyway, so that way, you know, complete privacy or something. Because it's something against the temple, but it's not doing that. You're gonna hear the speakers shooting down to your uh to your ears. It's not a quiet um experience. It's like talking to somebody on your phone. You're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it from what I my understanding of how that works. It's not vibrating and hey, what's up, Michael? You'll hear it, but you could probably put headphones on and then there you go. It fixes it, or AirPods or whatever. This is a very niche product, by the way. I don't know. I know I started it with it, but like I think to get the optimal experience, you need to have the Apple Watch and you need to have the AirPods and you need to have the
Mhm. Yeah.
okay.
Another concern that I have is it just doesn't have cameras in the right placements. What we've seen from the most successful uh, headsets, or I guess VR goggles that we've seen on the market. So they've got cameras on top, they got cameras on the side, they got cameras down below, they got cameras in front. So that way they can try to capture as much as they can possible. And then in some cases, even offer an accessory that allows you to capture the rest of the space so it knows exactly your spatial conformities and all that. But with
Right.
this, it doesn't have any cameras on top from what they've shown. And so I feel like there's a blind spot, at least maybe around where
Mhm.
your forehead is, and then maybe higher,
Hmm.
in which we'd have to see. But something with their demos, or at least them showing it off with basically just having you tap your fingers together, but more kind of at your waist, tells me they're really gaming on the fact that you're probably sitting there and your hands are kind of just resting in your lap. And so they got cameras pointing straight at that. So that way they know exactly what's going on. Uh,
Mm.
without having to be like, well,
Oh, so
this
what you're saying is like you can't just pinch and be like and bring it above your head and expect for it to just
yeah.
maintain that accuracy. I see. Okay.
Yes, because that's something I experienced with the PSVR 2 is that it only went up to a certain level and then it didn't know what to do because the controllers
Mm.
were trying to figure out where they were, but there's no camera
Mhm.
sensing those controllers in their uh, viewpoint, I guess their FOV. So
Mhm.
that's just something else that
LOS.
field of view. But I guess what I'm getting at is just how free am I to do whatever I want in this virtual space without butting up against the walls of this device,
Mm.
right? Because I
Mhm.
kept on tripping and running into walls all the time, not physically, but software walls in regards to what the PSVR 2 is capable of, and that's what kind of turned me off from it. Yeah, I got day one, and I'm sure how PSVR 2 is today is a whole lot better in terms of software and the games that they offer now compared to when I had it when it first launched. It's probably a big improvement, kind of like with what we've seen with most devices and all that. But and I'm sure the same thing will happen with these, but I imagine at least for the reputation of this product and also having that innate issue with not having cameras on top as a hardware thing, there's going to be a lot of ceilings that it's not going to be able to break.
Mm. I I hear you. I not that I'm gonna give a counter to it, but I'll approach it from a different perspective.
Haha.
One that is in the field of view or line of sight or whatever. I it definitely was not marketed as a gaming device. It was as a Gen 1 product, this thing felt marketed to be a stationary you are, you know, sitting somewhere and that's your workspace thing. Like it was marketed that way. Well, the at least the announcement. I will see what the ads actually look like when they come out, but it it, it felt very. It, it doesn't feel mobile. Doesn't come off mobile
Hmm.
when you're playing games, especially in the VR world. Side note: I'm gonna say VR. I'm gonna say all these other terminologies that Apple avoids because it's the common tongue that we all understand. And I'm not going to say spatial computing all that much more so than I'd be saying that, it's the virtual space or what. Like, I'm going to be saying the terminology that we all know. I don't want to get all like, oh, well, did you know it's actually called pass through? No, man. What you're saying is now you are augmented or you are in the virtual. It's VR. Okay. And when you blend the two, it's called MR. So these are the words that we know. These are the words I'm going to stay with. Okay. So when you're gaming, especially with a VR headset, you're encouraged to move around. Like how like I know you know this, but uh, they have you like draw a line. They do their pass through on the headset for you to define your spaces about where you can and can't go to. So when you're wearing the headset, you're able to walk towards your borders, and then it will tell you like you're hitting a wall, a virtual wall. You can't go past here. We only outlined up to this point. One, it's to help protect you from stumbling or tripping over something, even though it's like take precautions.
Or
They don't want you
slamming
moving
your
too
arm
much.
into
And
the
another,
wall.
yeah, yeah, or not, and it's also to define its own spaces for when it puts you into whatever game or activity that you're going to do. But after you define your set space, that's your playground. That's your sandbox. You are doing whatever you want to do. At no point did Apple showcase something that could look something like that. It's because maybe when you put it on, you're supposed to be greeted to the world as if you would see with your own eyes, and then it slowly starts to bring in the virtual elements and show you all this stuff. And so maybe the whole thing is passed through. Maybe the whole space is your literal walls of what you're working with. Um, but with that, to your point, my counter to it would be that it's not that's not its intended use from what we see with this one and only showcase of it so far. If they came out with ads later, be like, oh no, there's cameras up here, or there's something going on up here. When you look up, it goes up to your brow or your caveman brow. Brr, sponge gar. Meh. It goes right. You can look up without moving your head and see exactly what you would see where your arch comes to an end. And then when you tilt your head, so does the camera, and you can get new information presented to you the same way. So whatever you can see with your own eyes in your hands, what you can see, the camera can see, and we're not to distort anymore beyond that. Or my my hope is that if you're whatever application you're running at that point where it's doing it, I would hope it understand. You know how like when you're scrolling with our mouse and you just move far down or whatever, and it keeps scrolling because it understands what you're trying to do. You're trying to get to the bottom of something or the top of
Hmm.
something. It understands the intent of what you're doing, even though there's no more information for you to go any further down. It is my hope it would do the same thing with the hand. Whatever. Your intent is to do this, so now we're moving on this information, and it's presented. At this point now I feel like we're just kind of doing like our own little R&D. Like, yeah, oh, here's how you could make it. For all we know, they figured it out, and they're gonna they will figure it out because inevitable. I mean, that's what these developers are doing, right? Like the whole point of it being announced at DubDub was so developers can get on and bring their own applications or make new applications out of this, you know, operating system. So I'm not too worried. All right,
Okay.
Mike,
I will
we
ask
made
one
our
more question
case.
actually. Do you
Sure.
think it will have the calculator app natively? You don't have to boot into Mac OS. You don't have to boot into iOS. It natively has the calculator app that you can tap on and it brings up a nice little 5x3 menu or whatever of numbers and a little digital readout.
To be very honest with you, I'll give you a non-answer, but my answer is in it. If you listen back, you'll find the answer in there. Um, to be honest with you, I think they're gonna push the voice control so much that your calculator app is you saying, "Hey, what's 3/5 of 100?" and but like you doing that, and Siri will just or whatever the information like, boop, 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 and present it to you. Now, in what like Siri come man, I'm sorry if anyone's running the betas and I'm just saying Siri's openly. I can say because I'm still on 16, but Siri has its own page when you talk to it through voice, right? It takes over everything, comes up front and center, and it says, "Okay, I'm gonna put it up, done." It, it could be that Siri has its own thing, but I don't know if that would make sense in a VR or any type of augmented state. It can't take over your whole line of sight. That would be scary. Siri's blinding me, you know. So I feel like it would have to be more like Spotlight, where it's in the corner for the Mac or bottom center or top center on the phone. And I think they're just going to make the calculator will be built into the system itself. I feel like you need to talk to it. They're going to push talk so hard. It's like the home pod. You talk to the home pod and it's just going to audibly give you the information you're looking for. But I hope I'm wrong. And yeah, I would say yes, it gets the calculator app before iPad.
I was just thinking in that moment would be so cool for it to have some level of interface with like numbers or Excel or something like that, where you're able to just
Sure.
do calculations by voice through S girl is what I'm gonna call her, or S guy if you guys have that certain vocal setting.
I can't believe you just assumed Siri's gender.
Oh dear lord, I'm gonna get canceled now. But
And I'm the one who's controversial, right? And I'm editing this week, which means I'm keeping this in.
anyways, being able to do that computation vocally and then have that basically transcribed onto a spreadsheet or even tell that command, say, take that number, put it into cell A5 uh,
Mm-hmm.
on
Mm-hmm.
Excel, and then you'll see Excel either open up or if it's already open, you'll just see the number pop right in. That'd be pretty cool. Be able to just
That would be cool.
do those calculations vocally while you're in your 3D space working on something else. And then in the background, because this I feel
It's
like
what we
this could
always
be
wanted.
right, is able to
Can I?
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say
Uh,
it's gonna embody that Iron Man and Jarvis relationship of just being able to multitask while being as productive as it can, while also not having to go over to a calculator app. So maybe it doesn't need a calculator app, right? Um,
oh, that's the truth. The truth lies within that. It doesn't need it.
mhm.
It doesn't need such a two-dimensional relic that doesn't holds no bearings.
No, the
So
calculators are only
Mike
2D.
Mike is emphasizing on spreadsheets right now because unbeknownst to audience, post show last week, Mike and I discovered that we had a mutual nerd hobby together and that we really really like spreadsheets. And we have spreadsheets for everything. So him giving this like maybe you just say post this in a and sell a like for me I'm like oh my god that's all I ever wanted just I want things to automate and I can just quickly do it without me having to clicking and oh my goodness.
Just say
So anyway,
cell C5 equals that, and then it
yeah.
automatically knows what that is because it could just look in the
And you tell like,
previous
oh,
history.
give me the average or do the sum or do the like, you do is there has to be a way that you can train your voice to be like, listen, with the spreadsheet, whatever it's numbers or I forget what Google calls theirs or Excel
Sheets.
um, sheets. So you have it up and you just like make a graph of blah 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 and have
Insert the trend
the answer
line, have the equation involved as well, project
and it just
whatever it should be at this time
does
or at this
all of it,
value.
automate it, take and then take the take this function and have it copy over to another. You could get really weird with it, but anyway, we're gonna get really nerdy about it really quick, and I don't want to bore our
As an
listeners.
engineer,
So
I could easily see engineering students or just engineers as myself who don't want to do integrals or derivatives, and they're just
yeah,
like, just take a derivative of that, paste it in this cell or whatever as that equation. And it's like,
yeah.
oh, well, there we go. You no longer have to do an integral or differential in whatever way you want, or like in the
Okay,
way
Mike,
that
I'm
you're
cutting
already
all
doing.
this out. We're getting way too nerdy. I wanted to ask you something I didn't get to ask you last week,
Okay.
and I actually don't know your answer to this. And if the answer is no, then the follow up is will you?
Mm.
Are you running any of the betas right now, whether it's iOS or something? Like, are you on any beta? No. Will you?
None. No, I've never really been a iOS, or I guess an Apple beta guy. I usually like everything working perfectly fine. I don't. I think the only beta I'm technically enrolled in right now is the FSD beta on the Tesla, and which is kind of hilarious because it's more expensive device, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just I don't see anything to gain besides having to manage what beta build I'm on and make sure that I get off of it whenever the official one comes out and all that. I'm not in a hurry to get all these features. When last year, when the whole subject lift came out, I was jealous that so many people who got on the beta were able to use it. And I think, was it like in the Discord, I was asking so many people like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
can you subject lift this picture?" And then they would
I
download
remember.
it, subject lift, and throw back in and be like, "There you go." I'm
Yeah.
like, "This is awesome," but like I never really felt the need to uh, get the beta in whatever way that you could, whether it's through having a developer account or just going through some of the other ways to get the beta. I just felt,
Mm-hmm.
not really something I'm too interested in, just because I like the
Interesting.
smooth handshake that all of my devices have, and that's the reason why I have them,
Yeah.
is because if there wasn't that smooth handshake inherently, then it'd be like, okay, well, maybe I would do it more like on the iPad per se, uh,
Mm.
or maybe on the computer that maybe wouldn't be a Mac, or maybe it would be a Mac and then something else wouldn't be able to. But I don't really want to
Mm.
risk that continuity between devices because I
Mm-hmm.
rely on it so many times.
Okay. All right. Now you ask me if I'm running it.
Nah, I don't feel like it.
Okay.
Are you running
Fine.
any betas, Randy?
No. See how boring and anticlimactic that was. um, kind of similar to actually what you said though, but for a different reason. As I think I'm sure I've said before, I the perfect operating system for me, or what I needed to do to fit my life, it already exists. I got everything I need. I got the subject lift. I got the timestamp, grabbing it when Roddy posts it, and I could just, screenshot and take it real quick. I
Hmm.
got continuity camera. Um, so I feel like we, or at least I have everything that I need from iOS and Mac OS. I My version of that for you, or from you, but to me, is I was very jealous of Ventura. And I was like, I need to have Ventura on my computer now. I wanted continuity camera so bad.
Hmm.
Um, to me, that was the like, oh, it's like magic. That was it for me. Wirelessly. I'm purposely recording today's episodes on the mini, not plugged in, because I want to be that wireless.
Wow.
Um, and just to see what the back, because if it's cool, like people, I remember people would crap on it for so long, so hard on it. To some degree, there's some validity to it, but people would just make fun of Apple for like they just care about being wireless and going portless and da 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 and all that. But not like the tech is there. It's really cool. You know,
Hmm.
all headphones are wireless, true wireless. Um, I don't know. Just to me, I find the magic within that smoothness that you were talking about between my devices. The magic lies within there. The fact that I can copy from one device and paste in the other, and
Right.
all that, like, and it's smooth now. Like that, to my quality of life, ease of use, that's where the magic lies. I don't think I need I don't even, I'll be honest with you, Mike. I don't even remember a highlighted feature from iOS 17 right now in the moment. That I was like, I
Hmm.
need to use that. I don't
You
remember.
don't want
I know
stickers
it's excited,
everywhere?
bro. Can I be honest with you? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's so dumb. I don't use my memojis. I don't like unless I'm ironically doing it. Like I that ain't me. I like let me pin like have default pinned emojis in my texting instead of me having to go find it if it goes away from the recently used one. Let me pin certain emojis that I know I use
Nice
frequently.
little slide out folder on the right side or on the left
Yeah.
side, just so that
Yeah,
way
let me
you're able
do
to
that.
quick access it, or like a quick plus, so that way you've
That's
got
right.
like maybe a list of like 3 or 4 of them, and you're probably at it's gonna be the
Oh, I
same
would
as
do away with
reactions, right?
I would do away with the frequently used emojis and replace it with like a customized tray that you would want to have your emojis, your default emojis on.
A little
Um,
Dropbox basically that you're opening up. Oh, I want this one. Boop, done.
yeah, let me do that. See, this is how perfect iOS is. I'm literally nitpicking because I have everything that I want or need. Um, I
At that point, doesn't it just become an emoji? Or like,
yes.
what's it called when you're searching up emoji to put in the conversation? It's just this one you can pin wherever you want. Hmm.
Yeah, the fact that I had to go to the emoji search thing and that's the most
Oh, that's annoying so many times. And
non-intuitive.
I try to
I
find the
hate that.
specific emoji I want. And it's like I know it's there, but when I
But
search
you're
it,
not saying it right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it blow? No.
And then getting
Is it
out of it.
smile? Is it tongue? What am I searching?
Yeah. And then you trying to get out of it becomes a headache too, because then you
Oh
can't
my
go. You
goodness.
have to hit
Hit delete.
to go back to
Nope,
the
it's
actual keyboard.
deleting on the emoji search
Oh my god!
bar. Let me go back up to the. Okay.
Fix that, Apple. Fix that in a point in a minor software update, like in a point whatever. We're on point five,
I don't know.
16.5.
It's such a
Put that in a point
non-issue
six.
issue of
Yeah,
like
fix it.
it's it's
That's what I
nothing
want.
that's like breaking my experience, but it is like a slight annoyance of
it's
just
it is very annoying. Fix that. If I can only have one, fix that, followed by let me have a dedicated like pinned emojis that I can draw from instead of frequently used. Replace frequently used with pinned emojis that you want to use, and and then that'd be it. I mean, I guess that's my wish list. That's my iOS. That's my across the board wish list because if it goes on iOS next year or the following year, it'll go on iPad and Mac, however, whenever. But
mhm,
look, I think the only iOS 17 feature that was cool was the alert me that you're home safe and it does it like
check in.
automatically for
Yeah.
you. Check in. I love check in. As a you know that's as a married man and I worry about my significant other and her she has to travel pretty far. um I would want to use that for my son, like I just want things to be as as seamless as possible when it comes to the security or the safety portions of it instead of hey, call me, don't forget to call me, let me know when you get. I can't tell you how many times I've had those conversations.
Mhm.
I've been on the receiving end too, where I forget. I'm guilty of it too. I forget. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, geez, I forgot.
No,
So,
I did recently as well. I worked a very long day or night or whatever, and got home, and I realized I think maybe like after 5 or 10 minutes, like, oh, I need to text the significant other that I got home safely and all that after working a late shift or ever or something else, and they were somewhere else.
yeah,
So things like that happen. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised because you did mention uh in the last podcast that you got the new little stand that you could just put the phone on, the little MagSafe stand and all that. Yep, your little Starlink dish that we totally did not make a inappropriate joke with. But it's perfect for standby mode. And I feel like that's something that you might want to look into and have fun with, even if it's the
I would have to
beta.
replace this with charging. It has to charge for it to be activated.
I did not know that that wasn't a charger. I thought that was
It's
also a
not.
charger. Oh, it's literally
Nope.
just a magnet.
Yeah, I spent I think $5 or $7 on this, and really
Oh, that's not
I
bad.
had like credits or something, so didn't pay for this. Um, it's not a charger, and I'm thinking about. I think I bought this. Yeah, I think I bought this before I went to Europe. So this is before Dub Dub. I didn't know it was going to be a thing.
Okay,
So um, I think I might return it and get one that's a charger. But
sure.
I just wanted to dock it when my phone is not on the mount for the MacBook. It lives there now until I go to bed and then it charges.
Mhm.
Um, so that's something I'm looking into. Uh, Otherwise, I think the only other thing for iOS 17 that's just like, oh, that's cool, I guess. Um, which I know Nick is going to be the only one doing it to me is voicemail or leave a FaceTime video message.
I
You know,
remember you telling
that's
me about that 2 weeks ago. Wow,
yep,
time's flown. But
time's flown, but that's it.
okay, yeah, I get that. It makes sense versus like continuity camera last year that was introduced, where it's like that's a game-changing feature for what we do with the podcast, or just what you do on the daily with like FaceTiming different people and all that.
Right.
Like it makes sense versus something that's like, I guess the FaceTime message thing is kind of handy, and that might be a behavior that probably you and Nick will get more into with FaceTime messages and all that.
It's gonna be Nick calling me because I am guilty of not taking the call with if I'm dealing with Sage on something like the phone's not on me, so it's not even gonna be me leaving him a message. He's pretty good about answering. It's him calling me, and it's so really I want to rename the leave a FaceTime message to Nick leaves Randy a FaceTime message because that's literally gonna be its only purpose. I have no interest. I do not care about the contact card portrait what I
Name
do not
drop, I
care about.
think.
I name drop is another one. I don't care about any of it. Convenient. Hey, pass me information. All right, here you go. Boop. Fine. Don't care.
Mhm.
Do not care. Do not care about swiping to reply. I don't care about. I just don't care. I'm content. Ventura with continuity. That was it. My goal has always been how wireless can I make everything and still work and be efficient. I like living on the tip of like new tech that comes out and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
it's always been a personal challenge to like record on the iPhone. I've always did that. Um, just to say I could. I was inspired by a Netflix movie, or I don't know if it was produced by Netflix, but it went to Netflix. It was they had the bragging right of being the first feature film indie, like it went to Sundance Festival or whatever.
Mhm.
But they did a feature film, a 90-minute film, shot on an iPhone 5,
Wow.
and it won awards. And marketing didn't hurt by saying this was filmed on an iPhone. It's called like I think Tangerine or something like that.
Mm.
Um, it was the color grading too that they used, but um, yeah, it was an indie film, and it had bragging rights in 2013 of saying that it was filmed on an iPhone 5. And the only reason why they did that is it was a budgeting measure. They were out they to pay their staff, the crew and the actor, and they're out of money. And they're like, "Hey, then we're gonna just default on the iPhone." And at the time, it was taboo. People would not like. He went. This guy, the director, the I think it was co-written. So even the producers, they were like, we were not being taken seriously. Like they were like, oh, like the actors would come on set and be like, what is it? Like? It's hard. How do you? If you've never seen that before, it's like saying showing up like, hey, Mike, we're gonna film a film together with this Vision Pro
Mhm.
headset. It's gonna be shot like people what? But it went on to win all these awards and stuff like that. And ever since then, so I guess for about 10 years now, I've been so interested in filmography through a smartphone. Like that is interesting to me. That's a challenge. I like putting up roadblocks. I like challenging. I don't want limitless canvases. Maybe that's why I'm not all that excited sometimes about the Vision Pro. I don't want an unlimited canvas because you'll be paralysis of choice. I don't want that. I like limitations and like make the best thing with this, and you come at it with a new perspective. That was the whole basis of my Waiting for the Dawn album during quarantine
Mhm.
was that premise of putting up these barriers on purpose to work through. I
Mhm.
I just like doing that. So uh when Ventura came out, I felt like that's peak collaboration with an iPhone camera.
Hmm.
How do you pass that? I don't know. So yeah, that's my long-winded way of saying that there's no beta that actually has my interest this year. I will always be open-minded to run one, but until iPad OS gets its act together, it's all the same to me at this point. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So
Um,
something came up in
Go
the
ahead.
news that I wanted to ask you about because we've had this discussion before, and I still
Mm,
haven't made that transition yet. I tried out Apple Music for a while, just to see what it's like there. I had a free trial and all that. It was nice. It was good. It was decent. It just didn't have all my stuff, like all the playlists and everything else. I never really wanted to port over to it because it was just a free trial, so I never really wanted to load all the music onto there from my Spotify account. Um, and so I was thinking about doing Tidal and all that. And with was it basically Apple being very supportive of Tidal with like being able to use home pods and all that with it without having any issues with like having to connect through Bluetooth and all that. That's very appealing to me. And they're still not offering that for Spotify. Uh, a
mm,
recent um, article came out recently about Spotify coming out with a more high fidelity lossless audio quality option, probably for like
yes.
maybe $1 more, or like maybe two or $5 more. I don't know if they've announced it yet, but it seems like it's in development and it might be rolling out maybe this year or next year. Uh, it sounds like they're going to offer that, which is great. But there's still the issue that I have, in which I still haven't updated the app, or maybe I have, but maybe they rolled back on the idea of doing cards and all that. I'm not a fan of like the TikTok style interface that Spotify's kind of wanting to transition to. And so I want to ask you, does this pique any of your interests with Spotify offering a more lossless quality to it, especially as a creator who uses it to distribute your music?
I like options for my what's it, listeners, customers. Like I I like options
Fans?
for them, fans. Well, you can be a fan and not listen to my stuff.
True.
Um, but I like on the receiving end of people who will take in my work. I like there to be options. Uh, Me personally, I I might not be the best person to survey this because I'm on a family plan with Apple Music now. This the same family member who is on Arcade now, and I haven't used Arcade yet. You know what? I'm gonna make a goal right here on this. The next time we do a podcast, I would have already have tried an arcade game. I will let you know how it is. I
Okay.
will not. Yeah,
No need to make
because I've
promises
never.
if you're busy, because I get busy too.
Yeah,
Again, like
we'll
what
see.
I think what I mentioned in the last podcast is I've
I
only
will
played mini
actively
motorways.
make a goal.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say all I've played is mini motorways, and I still haven't had time to download another game and try it out just because I'm too busy.
Yeah. I I will actively try.
Okay.
Where weeks prior, I was indifferent, like, oh, it's there. I'll try it out. Sure, when I got time. I will, between now and the next time I record, I will actively try between now and then. And that was the last episode they ever did until Drew came back. um, so, uh, because I'm on a family plan with Apple Music, I'm not paying for it. I'm not, he didn't ask for us to pitch in. He's like, I can have this many people. I'm going to use it. So here you go. I'm like, okay. Um, if I had to pay, I like shopping around. I don't like paying full price for anything anymore. Haven't in a long time. And I'm not talking about no, military discount stuff either. I'm just saying like even with services, there's always a deal. There's always a trial. There's always a Spotify loves to email me the 90 days for $3. I get that deal a lot
Hmm.
for or like yeah 90 days for $9, and so they push that hard and get the whole thing come back to us. Spotify, in my opinion, still today has the best algorithm for curation of what I like to listen to. Um,
Mhm.
Nothing came close. I found artists that I would have never found because of Spotify that I am like active fans of now, and I follow their like Instagram. Like I want to keep up to date with their work, which is funny. Musicians and stuff like they don't use Twitter; they like to use Instagram. So I'm like, all right, fine. But Spotify has been my gateway to a lot of new musicians, but I'm not loyal to to an algorithm. So I will go where it's the most if I have to pay, I will go where it's cheapest. But I heard nothing but negative things about this new TikTokified Spotify, which admittedly has kind of deterred me from even really entertaining Spotify again until they fix it.
Mhm.
So that's me. Oh, and they gotta get rid of Joe Rogan. I want none of his white sorry, right wing white right wing. I'm
Oh my
joking.
goodness.
I'm joking.
You're Joe King.
Stop it, Mike. No, I'm the dad. I'm supposed to be making ugly jokes like that.
It
You are
literally
not.
says in my Twitter bio, you can look at it right
I
now.
saw. I
Dad
saw it.
joke
I know.
enthusiast.
Yep. Yep, you're ready. That's the last trial. Once you get your dad jokes on, you're ready to be a dad, man. That's it.
That's
That's the final then you and I will go to Costco and buy New Balances together with the tube white socks, and we'll go to where khaki shorts, go outside and talk about how great our lawn is.
I've already got the fanny pack and I'm ready. And I've already got the visor too. So
You do got the visor.
I'm already there.
You're not even a dad in training. You're a dad apprentice now. We just need to
I just need the
get you out of the
experience.
Padawan state. um,
Oh,
I want to end final thoughts here. I want to end with a another thought. Not as controversial as me saying I like iPad OS,
oh,
but
you got everyone angry on that, right?
I don't know if it was on YouTube or on Twitter. But somebody multiple people reached out, but I remember like, no, you're right, Randy. I like iPad. iPad OS is okay. People started like, good on you for finally coming around. So I don't remember where I saw the
I do like
comment,
that people
but
were very encouraging for your whole fitness plus initiative, which
that's what I actually wanted to end on. It's
okay.
funny enough that you're bringing this up. Um, I wanted to announce that because of all the feedback, I it has gone now from a thought to I'm planning on I'm going to put this into action. I am going to do it. I checked my fit, and then I got another notification from Fitness Plus. I'm not offered 30 days.
Mm,
I am offered 90 days.
nice, the 3-month offer. I got that for the
Yes.
Apple Music and all that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
cool.
and then I killed
That's cool. That's a really
it
good deal.
after I had it for about I think 60 days, 60 or 70 days, because I'm like, eh. I've already seen
Ah,
what I've
man,
seen, or heard
90
what I've
days of
wanted to
Apple
hear.
Music is something I would take it. That's that's a quarter of a year, man. That's a good deal. But
Mhm. Anyways,
um I wanted to say that I'm
he's
going to actively
announcing his
pursue
candidacy, everyone.
for the office of the president. No. Um I am going to do it, and
Okay.
I am going to document it. I will update everyone. Uh I am this is something that actually requires planning because what I'm working through right now is how I want to document this because I think by design it's going to have to be daily.
Right.
So that's
You
going to
can't just do
require
workout
quite
Wednesdays or anything like that unless you want to post it on
no.
Wednesdays. But
No.
otherwise,
That's the thing. Yeah, I have to figure out how I want to present this, but I think I have to go the route of daily. So I might be doing a daily video thing uh with like maybe a rest day. I'm gonna have to need a rest day obviously, but
oh, of course.
something. I'm actually going to build. What I'm trying to say here on the show is I am going to build a 90-day plan out, and once I have that ready and basically implement it, I will pre pre alert here on the show since I started on the show. But because it's not really tech related, I am going to post this on my main YouTube channel. So anybody who wants to follow that journey, it's going to be posted on my channel, and you know,
Cool.
we'll see how it goes. But I will take on the challenge. Honestly, I will be I will be I will give Fitness Plus an honest go. I'm not going to be this is stupid, blah 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 blah. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna be a cop out. I will take the challenge seriously, whether I find results or not. But I doubt I'm gonna not find results just because I will become more active. But I will be very transparent with everything, which means I'm gonna expose some very real insecurities, and I will share it with those who wish to be on that journey, but I will be documenting all that, and we will see how that kind of plays out through the lens of a Fitness Plus trial. And worst case scenario, Apple gets some free marketing out of it, I guess. But best case scenario, I'm in the best shape of my life, and 90 days is a long time, dude. That's a long time,
Oh yeah,
and I'm curious to see how that's going to change me afterwards. But um, I'm also excited. So
that's awesome.
everyone else, everyone else is in their hot boy summer or whatever. I gotta get to this. By the time I'm done with it in 90 days, we'll be out of summer. I'll be going into fall. So I don't really get to showcase the work.
You'll be
But
falling into shape.
whatever. Honestly, my objective here is not to look good, it's to feel good. I just want to be the best version I can be for my son. I literally care about nothing else but being able to be active in his life. And I just know by doing this, I will lose weight and look better. But the intent is not about vanity or Instagram modelness because that ain't me. It's strictly just to be the best version of myself that I can be for my family. So
Mhm.
when I have a plan fleshed out, which will be soon, I will announce it here first to say I will start posting on my channel and all that. So thank you everybody for uh, the encouragement, and I invite you to watch this journey, or just watch these podcasts once a week, or whenever I'm on the show, and dang, Randy's looking good, or but hey, he
You're
looks the same.
always
It's
looking
not
good.
working. He's looking thin. He's looking thin.
Dear Lord.
Do you have any closing thoughts, Mike?
Well, I'll definitely be there for any video that you do put out, whether it's a short or it's an actual video. But uh, is there anything new tech wise or any topic that I wanted to explore recently? Um, Not right now, but there is something that I'll probably talk about in the near future. Um, we'll stay tuned for that, but build
Ooh,
up a little
a cliffhanger. I
anticipation.
like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not too
like
sure if
it.
it'll be ready next week or the week after or the week after that, but soon. There will be more coverage on something. I'll be very general. Square.
Mac Studio.
Oh, sure, definitely. Why not?
Okay, I have no idea what he's talking
I
about,
bought
so
another one.
um, I would not be surprised. All right, well, thank you for your time, Mike, and everybody enjoy the rest of your week or weekend or whenever you're listening to this. And we will catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Stay safe.